Hi there, thanks for watching my videos and rating and subscribing. I've looked into this election in California, the battle between Meg Whitman and Jerry Brown. It's quite clear that you should vote for Jerry Brown even if you're a Republican. And that's because Meg Whitman, personally I think she's a bit crazy, but she also is against Prop 23. She has nuanced her position a little bit, where she only wants to block it 1 year or enable it 1 year. What Prop 23 is about, it's about blocking the decision to align California with the Kyoto Protocol and with basically recognizing different types of greenhouse gas emissions, and of course with the whole renewable economy. Meg Whitman is clearly an emissary of the old economy, the oil-based economy. And I already talked about that, and this is also, of course, a little bit a comment on the people that talk about deficit reduction. I think it's complete nonsense to attempt that. I think what you should recognize is that money was created for years and years and years because you could buy oil with it. So basically the US had this franchise of the world reserve currency, and it found that it had basically tricked the Arab countries into delivering oil in turn for the dollars, and they had these the petrodollar. That meant that for printing a piece of paper of $100 bill, or actually generating it in an account, you could drive a huge amount of production. You could produce goods, you could produce plastic, fertilizer, food, and create jobs and all that stuff. So basically, if the US had had the oil itself, it would have had this boom. It didn't. It needed the dollar, and it printed lots of dollars to give to the Arabs and make them believe that they got something in return for their oil. And basically, whatever you did to create those dollars was fine, as long as you created them and it's a little bit reliable. That's what brought about the huge, immense debt that the US has right now. That's exactly what it was, and it's not going to be repaid because, well, the value isn't there. The oil isn't there anymore. It's not going to happen. It's all going to implode. What you need is somebody that understands that first of all, the debts in the economy are fictitious. They are actually something that it worked at the time. Right now, if you have a debt outstanding to let's say in terms of obligations, you can basically print the money and give it back to the people. You don't have to have the money. You don't have to earn it or whatever. It's all a big bunch of nonsense. Maybe I would be a bad finance minister, but maybe I also would be a very good one. Because what you need is alternative energy. Because all the wealth that the US has endured, all these jobs that were created, all this work that was done, all these products that were made when they were still made in the US, but also when they were made in China, were made because there was energy available, energy and skilled labor. That's what you need. And if you don't understand that, like Meg Whitman, basically, if you're simply a stooge of the competitive banking environment, which I think she is, then you're a fossil. Then basically you're a dinosaur. You don't understand what is needed in this time. In the future, near future, you will have higher oil prices, and you'll need every renewable energy source that there is. And I hear people talk about, I heard somebody, I forgot her name, but she is quite on the forefront of the disaster, basically tourism or horror stories about the future of the US. And she has an argument that goes like, the energy density of alternative energy is really not that high, so you really need big installations to produce them, not like nuclear power plants, and then you need a large grid to transport that energy. I read about that, the energy density. So what happened was that people that hated alternative energy, that hated solar panels on your roof, and that hated solar power plants, started rating these plants in terms of the amount of energy produced per square meter. And of course, if you have a nuclear facility, then that doesn't have a very good, very big footprint. It generates massive amounts of energy per square meter. You're not counting the mines that you have to explore and all that stuff where the energy really comes from, and the facilities that you need to enrich that uranium. So you're a little bit myopic and you look at the plant itself. Now you go to a solar power plant And of course there's a limit to the energy per square meter that you can generate there. First of all, you need square meters to catch the sun, and then there's an efficiency that you have in catching the sun, which is usually not above the 50%. But efficiency in this type of environment means something completely different from efficiency in a coal-fired power plant, because the energy is free. You don't have to pay for it, so you're not losing it if you don't use it. But those kind of arguments that they say the energy density are bogus arguments generated by the industry, and if you don't function through that, if you don't see that, then you should stop talking. You're not the person to listen to, because then you will present a doom scenario. While if you talk about how you could generate energy with distributed electricity generation, which is a lot less lossy, then you're basically on your way to understanding what the real problem is. Because imagine that you have a day job in an office somewhere. During the day you have your solar panels churning. Well, then they can be used. The energy can be used by a farmer to work the land, or by a baker to bake bread, or by a butcher to cool his meat. And then in the evening you need the electricity. Well, then maybe you have stored something in a gravel battery or some new technology that is very cheap actually, and that people are trying to forget about. Can go on and on like that, but there are definitely options for the renewable energy society. And what you shouldn't do is vote for anybody that tries to pit jobs against the climate or environment. That's the biggest nonsense, because everybody knows you can just immediately see that the future without fossil fuels will be more labor intensive. So there's your jobs right there. Even if they don't pay you much, you'll be eating. That's a lot better than waiting until that situation comes about and having no skills in that respect, having no infrastructure in that respect, having not prepared anybody mentally for that eventuality, and just falling into this abyss where you basically say, what? Oh, McDonald's is closed? Well, where do we get the hamburgers then? Where's the hamburger tree or something like that? So vote Jerry Brown, and if you can't vote him, don't vote for Meg Whitman.